1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Yep, there we go. 1, 2, 1, 2. 1, 2, 1, 2. Yeah. Okay. So I think I'd like to start off again, as we have been for the last couple of Sundays, last few Sundays, by taking an opportunity to be in love. And so, but please listen for the chimes. When I ring the chimes, that means get back to your seat. So let's take a few moments to tell somebody hi. If you haven't spoken to anybody, give somebody a hug, look into somebody's eyes. Let's take a moment to do that. Always out of control. I know, right? So, it's always so good. So this morning, we're going to continue on this fifth Sunday talking about trust, the action, and the spiritual principles that we'll be speaking about today. If you don't know, we have copies of the spiritual principles in the back of your chair for you to take. But today we'll be talking about the following principles. Number 6, we believe in the unity of all life and that the highest God and the innermost God is one God. We believe that God is personal to all who feel this indwelling presence. We believe, number 8, we believe that the universal spirit, which is God, operates through a universal mind, which is the law of God, and that we are surrounded by this creative mind, which receives the direct impress of our thought and acts upon it. Number 11, we believe in our own soul, our own spirit, our own destiny, for we understand that the life of all is God. And I just want to read number 9 too. We believe in the healing of the sick and control of conditions through the power of this mind. So those are the spiritual principles we'll be working with today. And yesterday, the Center of Peace practitioners put on an event. We had a boat ride on the Ben Franklin yacht. And so if you missed it, you missed a good time. We had a lot of fun. And what it reminded me was that oftentimes in life, we take moments to enjoy it, and not as often as we can because we are so worried about tomorrow that, you know, it's like we forget to wave our hands in the air and party like we just don't care. Right? And so I had an opportunity, life gave me the opportunity several years ago to be in a little girl's life and to help to care for her. And she would do stuff sometimes, and I would say, "Why'd you do that?" And she would say, "'Cause I want to," right? So that, today, I think we're here to remind each other to raise our hands in the air and party like we just don't care, 'cause we want to. 'Cause we want to. So I want to just read this quote to you by Charles Filmore in the book Prosperity. He says that desire is the onward impulse of the ever-evolving soul. Desire is the onward impulse of the ever-evolving soul. And so this month, as we've been talking about the action, to trust the action, that in order for us to have what we desire, that we have to take action. There are some things that we have to do. As we know that it is our thoughts and our feelings and our actions that lead to demonstrations in our life. So all three things we have to be aware of. And then that sets things in motion to begin to draw to us the things that we are desiring in our life. So we have to take action. And so we all have things that we desire to make our lives more enjoyable. We all have things, material things and non-material things that we desire in our life to make it enjoyable. And it's necessary because it is the desire that moves us forward. Our desires move us forward. You see, all these things then to make our life more enjoyable. I want to read a little bit then from Living the Science of Mind today. I'm reading from the chapter, Substance and Supply, or the Law of Oppulance. And Ernest Holmes says that naturally, we all want what we want when we want it. And one of the many criticisms made of New Thought has been that it is materialistic, since those interested are striving to better themselves materially. This criticism is based on a most materialistic foundation, since it divides substance from supply, God from man, and life from living. It makes the kingdom of heaven a far-off divine event and separates earth from the eternal glory. It is just the opposite of the simple but direct statement of Jesus when he said, "What things soever you desire, and the kingdom of heaven is at hand." The idea that it is wrong for man to pray for or to treat to get what we call material good is based on the belief that reality and actuality are separated by a gulf which can be bridged only through individual suffering, impoverishment, and misery that may be redeemed from all that misery in some uncertain future, but not here and now. Yet, Jesus stood in the midst of the here and now and proclaimed that the kingdom of heaven is within and at hand. We find then that the teaching of Jesus is quite at variance with the idea that it is wrong to ask for what we desire. For did he not say, "What things soever you desire when you pray, believe that you receive them and you shall have them"? That's from Mark 11:24. He was announcing a principle, and all principles are universal, changeless, and ever-present. All universal principles are available to those who understand them, and they immediately respond to anyone who subjects himself or herself to the way in which they work. He says that Jesus announced that when our will complies with the infinite harmony, the law of cause and effect has no choice other than to obey our will. We have elsewhere discussed the idea that the divine will is toward life. Since being the very principle of life, it cannot contradict itself. It must be toward life. It is toward givingness, since in giving it expresses itself. Therefore, we know that as far as the divine is concerned, it is always its will that we be self-expressed, for God is expressed through the expression of man. There cannot be the slightest question but that the divine will is toward giving us what we want in the way in which we want it, provided we first have complied with the divine will, which is harmony, peace, love, goodness, truth, and beauty. If we have complied with the divine will, the law of cause and effect, which has no purpose of its own to execute, but is a blind but intelligent force, must bring the pattern of our desire to us. He says that we should throw away all doubt and fear, despair, and enter joyously into our inheritance. But the very law which we are using should teach us that we shall arrive at the consummation of our desire only by starting from where we are. We are told to despise not the day of small beginnings. Each one must start with the mental equivalent he has today, and by enlarging upon its increase his capacity to receive. In this connection, we must remember that the law of cause and effect, the universal subjectivity, has no intention of or purpose of its own relative to any individual. We make up its mind for it. We make up its mind for it. Then having the things we desire, what we've been talking about then is that it means then that we have to give up our limitations or let go of our limitations, that we have to open ourselves up for what's possible rather than what's not possible. It means releasing judgment of ourselves and releasing judgment about others. And we have to get very clear about what we desire, what we want. As I said earlier, then, to desire is to evolve. It is our natural way of being, which means then that there is then an opportunity for our consciousness to expand and to grow. Because to the degree that our consciousness expands, then the more we can enjoy life, the more we can take part in the good, the all good. And so what that means then is that we're going to have to move out of our comfort zone. And some of us are comfortable in the uncomfortableness. So we have to be willing to move out of our comfort zones, because the thing is that we don't realize that all that is needed for the desire to be made manifest is within the desire. All that is needed for the desire to be made manifest is contained within the desire itself. The new house, the new car, the new job, the new relationship, the desire. All that is needed for the desire to be made manifest is contained within the desire. So we would do well then to affirm life rather than to deny it. And so, as I said earlier then, some of us though, we are so unsure of what tomorrow may bring that we don't take action. So afraid of what tomorrow might bring that we don't take action. In other words, some of us are engaging in the principles and practices of the science of mind and of new thought, and we delve into it only because we want guarantees. But when you engage in the practice, you'll see that there are no guarantees. Turn to the person sitting next to you and tell them, in life, there are no guarantees. But there are only possibilities. In life, there are no guarantees, but many of us want guarantees. And because there's no guarantee, we don't take action. But there are no guarantees. There's only possibilities. I came across a quote and it said, what we just said, there are no guarantees in this life, only possibilities, and that's enough for me. In life, there are no guarantees, only possibilities, and that's enough for me. And because we are so engaged and have our thought move into tomorrow, we never linger in today. We never raise our hands like we just don't care and party because we're so concerned about tomorrow. Instead of enjoying the possibilities of today. In other words, we have somehow then allowed our practice to move beyond this idea of affirming our Father who art in heaven, that which is within me, give me this day my daily bread. See, in that way, then I'm not worried about tomorrow. I'm only centered in today and what's possible today. Give us this day our daily bread. And so when we are looking for things, when we are looking for guarantees, then really what we are saying to ourselves in some way or another is that we really want things to stay the same. That's kind of what a guarantee is like. I just want things to stay the same. Or it could mean then that we want to do as little as possible. We want to raise our hands in the air and party like we just don't care, but we don't want to get up and dance. It's kind of like that. You know? We want to do as little as possible. We want to live a joyous life, but we don't want to engage in anything that brings us joy. We're so focused on tomorrow that we find ourselves then living in the land of what ifs. What if it doesn't work out? Or what if I don't finish? Or what if I don't have enough money? What if they don't like me? What if, what if, what if, what if, what if, what if, what if? That's wanting guarantees. And when we want guarantees, it's easy then to be tempted. It's easy then to let your desire go. Instead of affirming life, it's easy to deny life. And so then when something appears that doesn't feel right, when something comes to you in your life and it doesn't seem like it goes with the things that you are desiring, it doesn't seem to make sense, then we can easily then be tempted to let go of truth when we need to hold on to truth. Because it hasn't happened, or it didn't happen this way, or it didn't come through that person, or it didn't happen the way that you thought it was going to happen, or this happened, or that happened. So we abandon our desires. That is, we abandon the truth, which is that we have power to create. That through our words, our feelings, and our action, that we can create a life that we desire. And when we get clear about what we desire, then once we get clear then about what we desire, then there's no room for doubting. There's no room for doubting, and the more we become willing to affirm rather than to deny life, then life can begin to draw to us more of what it is that we are desiring. But what happens sometimes when we are looking for guarantees, we think about our desires less and less.